right here, out front, redont.
Yes.
And you are?
My name is Bob Lockhart. I'm a resident and a taxpayer in the city of Fredericton. My heart is in St. John, but the rest of my body is here in the capital city.
Former mayor of St. John?
Former mayor on 2 occasions in the city of St. John. My wife says I'm a slow learner.
Former talk show host?
Say again?
Former talk show host?
Well, yes, I came over back to New Brunswick, but I came over from Newfoundland in 1961. And in 1962, we started a talk show. There had been talk shows in New Brunswick, but they were a different kind of talk show, and they weren't controversial in any way, shape, or form. And the significant difference about what we did was we didn't just comment on the news and how we felt about this event or that. We actively got involved on behalf as acting as a sort of an unpaid voice for the average listener. If they had a problem and they couldn't get by the red tape at City Hall, or they were mad at their elected representatives who wouldn't talk to them, our radio station would step in and get the two of them together.
How come we got no more talk shows here?
Well, they do have talk shows.
We do? Where?
Down in St. John and Moncton. And of course,
where?
They don't. Well, they're on the air every day, Charlie.
But CNBC don't exist anymore.
CNBC doesn't do talk show anymore.
How come?
And of course, as you may be aware, their staff is on strike.
Yeah. That's sad. The talk show. I phoned Rick Maddle when Rick Maddle last took over.
Right.
And Rick said, "I said this will be your last talk show." He says, "I hope you're wrong, Charles." He said, "Well, the way you've been condemning the Irvings, I can't see this talk with the LNG thing and all that." I said, "I can't see you coming."
Now, Charles, you led me gracefully up the primrose path, and now you figure you're going to sandbag me with the Irvings.
No.
Let me say this, as I've said it before on your program, and I thank you for doing it. I think New Brunswick without the Irvings would be a ghost town. And there's not a cause that they don't support. And if you have problems with the management and their editorial policy, that's one thing. But you can't blame the Irving family for that.
I just happened to tell the story. I wasn't going to be anti-Irving. What I'm saying is the talk show didn't exist after that. So we should have a whole problem with talk shows. A lot of issues to talk about.
Well, there's no question that there's, but you as of all people, being a blogger, which is a modern example of social media, you should be well aware, and I know you are, that with the social media, they have largely eliminated the need for the media, the traditional media, to be as active. You listen, get on the social networks now. Now, the problem is they have a lot of power. You spread a lot of rumors, but I don't see the same kind of responsibility. Let me give you an example. The newspapers have a press council, the radio and television stations, and they have access to the CRTC if you have a problem. The social media, there doesn't seem to be any control or any level of responsibility. So it's very powerful, but I think it'll only remain in an elementary stage, and it won't have the stature until they start accepting responsibility
for their own action.
Well, now, Charles, I know you try and get the facts as much as possible. I don't know how successful you are. We leave that to
Of course, I'm a blogger. It's all facts.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
Yeah. But we need people like you, but I'm not necessarily saying it should be you. There should be a lot of people out with the cameras doing this stuff, and you should not have to carry that burden all by yourself. In fact, I think a lot of people would be very happy if there were other people and it wasn't Charles all the time.
But the pay sucks. That's why people don't want to do it.
What pay, Charlie? I hope you're declaring the huge amount of money that you're earning, because the revenue people, especially here in New Brunswick, need the money. So if you're dodging your tax responsibilities, Charlie, shake.
Did you see? What do you see the media for the future? What do you see?
I see a variety of things. Technically, I think we're at an intermediate stage. We now are having more and more channels. I can remember when one channel was all you needed to cover everything on television.
Channel 3.
Now, if you only have a couple of hundred, you're out in a couple of hundred news. It's a miracle. And the variety of social media and the portable telephones and the technology is moving so fast. I think it will mature after a while. I think the community will be better served by responsible bloggers. I do.
I was looking at an old picture, like an example, an old black and white picture about an hour ago of a parade.
Yes.
And there was hundreds of people looking at the parade. Now, hundreds of people will have camera in their hands. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. Well, when everybody has a camera like that, it's pretty tough to do anything in the community and not have somebody haul out their cell phone and record it.
Everybody thinks they're journalists these days. Like when the flood happened in St. George, I showed up there. Oh, I'm the blogger. And they look at me, they said, oh, the pictures, they're on my Facebook. I said, okay, what's your name?
Yes.
So everybody thinks that everybody goes on their wall, everybody goes on their Facebook, everybody goes on their blogs, and people are busy these days.
Very busy, and with the help of technology, they're going to be able to accomplish a lot more, provided, that if they don't self-govern, if they don't establish some responsible method of protecting the innocent from wild and crazy rumors, if there's not some kind of control, you can bet that the state will enact the laws to protect the innocent.
What do you think of the CBC website? These I call them anonymous coward jerkface. These anonymous comments. Like it used to be letters to the editor. There used to be anonymous letters that wrote bad letters against Acadians, and they just started a war. I fought that. They got rid of it. Now you get anonymous comments. Why write a long opinion if it's anonymous?
That's a very tough question. How do you define an anonymous? Because something to be, you don't know the spokesman. What if they're merely repeating somebody else? Again, a lot of that is what happens in the social media, and that's why it can be both very helpful and also very dangerous, and it can hurt a lot of innocent people.
Well, what do you see the media in 20 years from now?
Oh, it's hard to imagine. I mean, the things that we have now with the satellite coverage, the instant coverage. However, I'm not sure. I see a steady expansion. Think about this: if in 20 years from now, if we have cars that were able to travel between Fredericton and Bartybold, you just get in the lineup, and they take the car there, and you can sleep, or you can watch television, or you can read your newspaper. All those things are coming up. No question about it. Technology is not going to be slowed by any government or lack of government funding. Here in New Brunswick, of course, we have better uses to put it into the media.
What's better, a premiere in the 60s or a premiere in the year 2013?
Well, they all have different challenges. Every term for an elected person has different problems to be solved, and it depends on how they act in each case. What are they saying when you play poker? You play the hand that you're dealt. And to judge a premier, for example, you really have to say what challenges they. Now take Mr. Allward, for example. Everybody recognizes that when he took over, things here in the province were particularly not. That would be Premier David Allward.
Okay.
When he took over, there were a lot of problems, not a lot of money in the thing, and finally, he's inherited a big mess. So the question is not, nobody's blaming him for the mess. The question that everybody will ask in the future is, what did he do about it? And it's the same thing that every premier faces.
Well, I was thinking about that. I was going to blog it. I haven't had a chance. I was talking to somebody from my hometown, Mermon Cook. When I was in my younger days, there was about 10 different schools in Mermon Cook. One in La Haiteria, one in St. Joseph, one in Mermon Cook East, one in La Mota. There was about 10 different schools in a small town. And so you can just imagine how many schools there were around the province. And now, they're cutting down the schools. Is it down the population, or where did they get the money in those days to have all these schools?
Boy, you really ask some tough questions. You've got to remember that a lot of people were forced to build small local schools because there was no means of transporting rural people. They had to build a small local school because that's all they could afford. But now with more highways and better transportation, and also with the advent of electronics, you can learn at home from a computer, or you can be transported by bus 20 miles away to a high school and one thing or another. And those kinds of things are efficient in an age when costs are high and the population is small.
But in those days, where do you get the money? The teachers, the heat, that built the school to maintain it? Where do you get the money?
If you talk to your average country doctor, they would tell you that for every dollar that they took in actual cash as part of their medical duties, they had an awful lot of preserves and a little piece of deer meat and a few salmon.
The good old days.
They had a lot of preserves. People paid in food and vegetables and homemade cooking. And if you were a doctor in those days, that was part of it. You didn't get into medicine to make a lot of money.
Okay, that answers a lot. One more thing before we let you go.
Yes, sir.
The state of St. John. What do you think of the new mayor?
Have you
met him?
I'm very impressed with the new mayor.
You met him?
I've met him. I find him to be an intelligent person who listens. He's working hard. So far, as we say in the parachute business, so far he's doing okay, but watch out for the landing. He had some, especially with the pensions, but they have other problems. They had an inefficient, over the years, the administration had changed, and as well, the form of government changed from universal election to some ward systems. So it's a mixture at the electoral level. It's a mixture of government. At the administrative level, the city of St. John, under the mayor, current mayor, is streamlining it, and under the circumstances, he's doing as well. And I'm hoping that the province will do as well as they tackle these things.
You got an opinion on Stephen Harper?
Mr. Harper, what about him?
You got an opinion on him?
Of course. Everybody's got an opinion on Mr. Harper, some good, some bad. I think whether you like Mr. Harper or not, I think there are certain advantages to having a majority government. Of these minority governments, I don't think some people say it was truly democratic. I'm not so sure. I think it may have been inefficient. But Mr. Harper is going to, I think, help us define the way majority government, whether for himself or his successors, majority government in these trying times, I think, is very healthy for our country and their economy.
Are you looking for the order of Canada? Or?
Listen, I can't keep up with the disorder that's going on in Canada right now. Anyway, all I can tell you is the monarchist, God save the Queen and God help Canada.
Thank you.